just hear my voice. You hear an echo for a second too. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're testing a lot of stuff right now, so this is testing sound. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Checking one thing. I know this isn't exciting. You're gonna hear some echo for a minute too. Sorry, friends. Okay. Then we'll do this. And we'll probably even lower that a little bit more. And what I'm partially doing right now is getting this playthrough caught up to where I want it to be, so I'm gonna fast forward here. Well, first off I gotta do this. Whoa, how is it not reading my inputs right now? Oh no. Are we gonna have to start over? Come on. Let me try something. There it is. But I'm gonna be fast forwarding here, so it's gonna sound funny. One thing you'll see though. Let's get to it. Is these wonderful HD textures on the characters. Not on every character. You'll see it more clearly when they're up close. It's only for main characters. So, you know, I wish there was a world where all the textures were redone, but there isn't, unfortunately. But we have this, which is amazing. A few caveats to this save file, which you'll see in a minute. Let's do save file 4. A few caveats to this save file is I have a lot of gold, and I think I have every weapon. Yeah, I do. Oh, that's right. I was messing with this earlier to see what differences the weapons would make. In the first like story segment in like the dungeon. I was super curious to know what giving people endgame weapons would do. And it does basically what you would think. It sort of just destroys the difficulty curve. Can I choose to use low-res textures for consistency? Yeah, I can just turn these textures off, right? It's a mod. So I could just be like, well, I'm gonna disable this mod, and it will instead of pulling from the texture files that I have, it'll just take the default ones off the Skies of Arcadia stuff, I think it's an ISO. It must be. It's not a GD-ROM image, because that's Dreamcast. So it's probably an ISO. Yeah, we'll see. Also, so this is Skies of Arcadia Legends. This is the GameCube one, which I enjoy. But also, I admit, I haven't played Skies of Arcadia Legends since it came out in like 2003 or something absurd. So I started earlier this year doing a playthrough of normal Skies of Arcadia on my Dreamcast. You can hear me, maybe you can hear it. That's me tapping on my Dreamcast. I keep it within arm's length when I'm working at my desk. It's very important that I do. I love playing on original hardware. So if you go on my YouTube channel or even check the channel here, there's some stuff here which is, you know, streamed right off of my Dreamcast, which I love. And I really like the original version of Skies of Arcadia. It tends to be my preferred version because the sound is better. It doesn't have all the extra discoveries or extra story content that Legends does, but it does have uncompressed audio, which I think is so deeply essential to the quality of this game. I think the music in this game is really good, and I think the music on the GameCube version is terrible. It's atrocious. Some of the tracks sound fine, and then others sound like weird MIDI stuff that you would hear on like an old website in the 90s to me. Like the audio quality is really bad to me, which, you know, I loved listening to old school MIDIs back in the day, but if I can have like a really cool orchestral sounding soundtrack, like I'll take it. So I didn't play a lot of Legends, partially because I didn't use my Dreamcast a lot, which sounds like such a yuppie rich, oh, I didn't use my Dreamcast a lot, or my GameCube a lot, excuse me. But I just didn't. I've always kind of been a Sony person, which is funny because I technically work for Microsoft now. I played a lot of PlayStation 2 and that sort of stuff. I was a Final Fantasy person. So I like Legends, but it's been a long ass time since I've played it. And so I'm doing a couple things right now, which some of you might be familiar with. Maybe you're not. Who knows? I'm not famous as much as I would like to pretend I am. I'm not. No, I don't really want to pretend I am. I'm writing a novelization of this game because, you know what? I'm running out of time in my life to do the things I want before my knees start to hurt or whatever. I'm not that old, but it feels like that sometimes. Right, this game is 20 years old. And as far as I could see, there's never been a completed like fanfic novelization. And you know what? I needed something to keep me sane during the later half of pandemic times. So I started doing that, which meant that I was gonna just play through the game on my own. Play through the game on my own. And just enjoy it, right? Like, when I was working at Kotaku, you know, it seems, in retrospect, the way that I talk about it now makes it seem like I'm very salty about that time period, which is like, you know, I tell people that I'm happier now, which is true. I'm happier now, but that's because my life isn't on full display for trolls to just like, I've dealt with trolls like this past week because I got screenshotted by a psycho lady. But it's usually not something I deal with anymore. And for as much as I loved writing reviews and a bunch of other stuff, yeah, this version of the Pirate Isle theme sounds terrible to me. Like, the flutes sound all wrong and stuff. It's really frustrating. I wish that this didn't have those weird flashing things during transitions into scenes. It seems weird to me that that's the case. You can see some of these models up close and see the texture changes, which is cool. But I'm rambling so much. It's been so long since I've streamed. The point is that when I was working at Kotaku, everything I did was content. Everything that I did was in the service of content. If I was playing something, I was always thinking of an angle. I never really just got to enjoy games on my own terms. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that flashing. That sucks. Right, I never just got to enjoy things. Which isn't to say that I didn't like what I was doing, but it was always work. I was streaming a lot, sometimes for very long hours. You know, I played through all of the Metal Gears up to Metal Gear Solid 2, basically in one sitting each time. That's like 12 hours of just sitting and streaming. And, you know, I would write reviews, I would do interviews, I would go from one review to the other to another, and it was just like, you know, I never had a lot of time for the stuff that I wanted to do. And so now that I have time to myself, writing or taking a story that I love and putting it into writing is nice. It just feels good. I like writing, right? There's a lot of ways in which I miss my old job. There's a lot of ways in which writing to me is as essential as oxygen, right? I need to do it. There's some part of me that is inside me, and I have, for the last 5 years, tried to put it onto a page. And it is such an ineffable and indescribable thing, because it is a matter of the soul, that putting it on the page has never felt possible, and yet I feel compelled. It confounds me, but it compels me. And for a while that meant analyzing art, which I think I was okay at. I'm never quite as proud of my work as some people have told me to be. Nothing I wrote is going to leave a mark on the field, because nothing leaves a mark on the field of games criticism. Our cultural memory is garbage. If there's one thing I wish that could change for games writing, it would be the establishment of some sort of sense of history, but we just don't have it. And I don't know if we're ever gonna have it. The same way that we have mainstream notions of what film criticism is, or anything else. We don't have that in games, and we might just never have it, because the culture around games is built around the idea that games are disposable experiences, which mostly exist to please you, which is partially true, but also any piece of art exists to enrich you. I say that very sincerely because I'm playing Skies of Arcadia right now, a game that if I were to try to describe the feeling in my heart right now when I am playing this game, the ways in which sometimes thinking about the experiences I've had with this game brings tears to my eyes because I'm a pussy. It's like bananas, right? So there's clearly something here valuable and enduring and strong. That makes it worth doing criticism or something, but also at the same time, the work I was doing was killing me. There was no time for myself. For a long time, and this is relative, but bear in mind I was living in the city. Right now I am not. The money wasn't great, even though I loved the work. And the way I was treating my body, the way that I was treating my mental well-being, it just wasn't sustainable. So the idea of, especially after I moved out of the city, after the apartment fire, of sitting down and writing, now we're bringing it back to the point, of writing like fiction and getting to use modes of writing and expression that you don't really use in criticism. You use metaphor, but do you really use metaphor? Not as much as you think, because the writing of criticism is very tactile. It's very analytical. You are taking, it's like when you make a meal and it's a deconstructed meal. You are breaking things down into their constituent parts, which means that you don't get to be very often, although sometimes you can be, evocative or playful or experimental in certain ways. You don't get to write, you can, but everybody will say you're a pretentious fuck, and you're gonna think it when I say it, but it's like, you don't get to write about the quality of a sunset when you're doing criticism or news writing or whatever. I mean, you can, but... And there's something very essential to that, of man, just write what a fucking sunset is. Are you fucking kidding me? Everyone's getting older, the world is getting hotter, there's a pandemic, and fascists are everywhere, and I only have so much time to write the things I want before I'm inevitably gonna have to punch a dude in the nose or something. right? That's just the world. I'm rambling. Which, I guess this is my roundabout way of saying, oh my gosh. Just being able to play things I like, just being able to write the things I want, even though I have work responsibilities, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. Like, it's huge to me that I'm gonna be able to play Hitman 3 and not have to do anything with it. Right? Like, I don't have to break down anything. I don't have to stream and turn it into a performance for anyone. I don't have to. I can just play Hitman 3 and maybe write a tweet or two. That's amazing. And I can just write a stupid novelization of this story that less than 5,000 people have read. The amount of hits on that story is like 1,300 something. That's pitiful. A good article, even on the driest of thing when I was writing, would be like 10K in a day. I've been writing since November. It got like less than 2,000. That's insane. But also, it feels worthwhile, and it's been rewarding. So being able to come back to games that I like, being able to not have to turn everything into content, it's amazing. I don't even know what started this whole line of conversation. But the point is, I don't know, I'm streaming right now. I might stream through the rest of this game once I catch up to where it is, which is cool. I'm using a different cheat right now called no MIP mapping, by the way, which means that originally, I wish I could toggle it, Jesus. Usually when things are in the distance in this game, they get a sort of filter placed upon them, which, you know, it's almost like when you call something. It reduces the amount of texture detail and a couple other things, but I actually have a cheat that disables it, so the game is not doing that like hyper-specific texture calling. So the textures up close and far away are the same, and it just makes the game look a little bit better, which I think is fucking great. Let's swim down to the bottom. I'm rambling. You can tell that I haven't streamed in ages. I don't know. It's like, man, the fact alone that I wrote a tweet about Yakuza and I very lightly dunked on The Last of Us 2, which, I'm sorry, is a game that I do not like. It's a game that there's some things in that game that are gorgeous. I think the actors sell the hell out of material that doesn't deserve the amount of selling that they do. And you know, that's another thing too. I can just play Yakuza and enjoy myself. I've been playing Like a Dragon, and it's incredible. It's amazingly good. And so, like, the difference between Like a Dragon and The Last of Us 2 is so stark to me, where Yakuza is clearly dealing with some intense stuff. Some intense, incredibly violent stuff, but it does it with such an energy and an empathy for people. There's an entire segment of that game where you're just like chilling with homeless people for like 5 hours, and it's surprisingly good. It's not like David Cage Beyond Two Souls emotional manipulation. It's like not, and you know, Yakuza's imperfect the same way that any product of any culture is imperfect, but like, man, I would rather have so much time be put into like the plight of the homeless and a cool battle system. So the thing that I pointed out was, I saw a video, you know, YouTube just pushes things to you. It just pushes things to you and says, this is what you need to watch. And I saw a video, and it literally was Last of Us 2 NPC begs for their life or something. And it was it was awful. There's just this lady on her knees begging Ellie, begging her not to kill her. Just viciously. The actor was selling, like, that actor who's just voicing an NPC earned their fucking paycheck. Like, those are the things what I mean when I say that there's some things about The Last of Us 2 that I think are astounding. All the performances in that game are astounding. All the stuff with the facial animation and stuff like that, attention to detail is great, although we know it comes at a cost. But it was just this video of this critically loved thing of an NPC begging not to get shot, and then a player pulling the trigger, and their skull, pardon me for painting the picture, and their fucking skull just taking a bullet right to the dome and having them fall down like a marionette with their fucking strings cut. It was terrible. Meanwhile, I'm playing Yakuza, and there are weird people disguised as trash bag monsters, because that's just how Ichiban Kasuga's mind works. And friggin' people are betraying each other and dying in terrible ways, but it never feels like that, right? Like, Yakuza are like arranging for people to be hung and like shooting them multiple times in the street. And yet I think that Yakuza is an incredibly humanistic and wonderful game. So in my mind, I wish that that had been everyone's game of the year, because I think that there's more interesting stuff, more affecting, and ultimately for me, more personally worthwhile stuff happening there. And so I mentioned that in passing, and gamers lost their fucking shit with me. Just people who must be name searching The Last of Us 2 or something? Like, why would you do that with your life? Why would you love something that much that's never gonna love you back? I don't understand. It's so very strange. And if it sounds like I'm impassioned or affected, it's not that I'm upset. It's more that I find the situation ridiculous. And so that is an example of the sort of thing I just don't miss. I just don't miss that. It was so weird. It was so weird to me that I would write about games, and I would, like, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like my affection for games was very, very obvious when I wrote about them. I would not be doing what I had done if I didn't fucking love games. And I would be like, oh, by the way, this thing's kind of crummy, even though I would still like spend 4 other paragraphs being like, this other thing is amazing. And people would just lose their brain at the idea that a thing isn't perfect. Like, that culture is so weird to me. Even this, I love Skies of Arcadia. I have my Dreamcast within arm's reach. That's the sound of a tin of what was a delicious tea that another Skies of Arcadia fan made based off of the character of Fina. It's a delicious tea. You can just buy, people just make teas. There's a music box here that I could turn on. I have all this within arm's reach because I love this world, but also it's a game. It's affected me deeply, but also, like, I don't know. Like, my love for, I don't need to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to prove that it's good. If it's good for me, then it's good for me. Like, if you are if you're watching this stream right now and you fucking love The Last of Us 2, like, great. Dude, love stuff. Do you know how fucking amazing it is that we can care about things? It's amazing. Dogs care about food, sort of. Because they understand that it tastes good for their little barky mouths. Meanwhile, humans can understand art, and it can change their lives. Do you know how brilliant that is? Oh my gosh. And just because a journalist, or like somebody in chat right now could be like, actually, I prefer Grandia 2. And I'd be like, okay, well, what do you prefer about Grandia 2? But I also would be like, dude, like, enjoy Grandia 2. What are you talking about? Like, I wouldn't be like, you know, there are people, whenever I talk about Skies of Arcadia, who are like, oh, I couldn't play it, the random encounter is too high. And first off, I would say to that, if I could beat this as, like, a 10-year-old, you can beat it as an adult, but I get it, right? And clearly, you know, I'll admit, like, I feel like such a weird embarrassment at the fact that the thing that has changed my trajectory as a human being, that has altered my fundamental understanding of how I should live my life and comport myself, is actually just a Sega game about fucking pirates? Like, that's weird. But also, we don't get to choose the things that make us us, right? Like, I've completely stopped worrying about that. The only time that I was disappointed, and even this led to a response that I didn't anticipate and which I understand, but also, like, come on. It's like the only time that I felt uncomfortable with The Last of Us 2 in terms of the way that people were reacting to it was when I saw writers that I thought weren't doing their diligence. Which is to say that when you're a writer, you have to have a certain inherent skepticism for everything that you are writing about, every person that you are talking to, because it keeps you fundamentally honest. To be a journalist is to, and to be a critic to a certain extent, is to be in a somewhat adversarial relationship with everything around you. Which is to say that you must have a certain amount of inherent skepticism in your heart, even for the things that you end up loving, because that skepticism allows you to better apprehend and therefore better communicate certain truths about it. Which is to say that even if a thing has swept you off your feet, you need to chill out. Someone was talking to me. So, you know, when I saw, like, this happens anytime with a new game, though. Right? When people are like, this thing is the best, and every new thing is great. And people stand for these corporate things, and which I can't, you know, fucking who am I to talk about corporate things? I work for a corporation. But also, you know, am I wrong? Not necessarily. Oh, Jesus, I can get Rain of Swords already? What the hell is my Moonberry luck this run? Holy shit, that's amazing. I have Rain of Swords and Alpha Storm already. This is an amazing save file. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm just rambling. If any of this has been useful to you, that's great. But also, I don't know. I've been cooped up for a while. Can you tell? I gotta go this way. There's another Moonberry in here that I have to find. When I say adversarial, I don't mean like you're actively like hating on a thing. What I mean is that you don't take anything at face value. Like if somebody says like, this is our statement, you don't go, well, that's their statement and that's the end of it. Holy shit! What? 280, what the hell? Why are you so terribly powerful? I'm getting away from you. What? Oh, I'm boned. What is happening? Why is this thing hitting like a Mack truck? What? Why is that Seeker hitting like it's made out of Valorium? That's a Skies of Arcadia joke for you right there. To be fair, I'm only playing this file so that I can catch up to where I was on the other streams. So I need to, I'm gonna cheat a little. I'm gonna do the thing that I was doing earlier, which is I'm just gonna give myself better weapons. I don't know, like, I felt really weird when people were not, you know, like when you take things on face value, it's like you just have to, I don't know. I felt very weird when people were like, I feel very weird when people are standing very hard for corporate stuff, especially if it's your, I don't know. I've thought about this a lot. I don't begrudge anybody for liking a thing, but I do feel odd. You know, it'd be weird if I was a writer right now and I was just like even the way that I talk about something like Final Fantasy XIV, which is a game that I really like I would modulate how I talked about that if I was a writer, right? I would be like, this thing is very good, but I also wouldn't be like, it is revolutionary, it has changed blah blah blah. Like it's like, I don't know, man. Like, has it? I have a lot of thoughts about these things. My brain is all over the place tonight. Oh my gosh. If we get sleep, so these enemies can attack and put you to sleep, and it sucks. I will be very upset if they just put me to sleep and kill me. It's gonna happen? No. Is anything I'm saying making sense? I have no clue. I'm letting it all flood out, friends. No freaking clue. I guess my point is that, like... Oh, he's gonna fall asleep. It's definitely one of the things I don't miss about writing is, like, the fact that the slightest bit of actual criticism is levied against the thing and people lose their brains. I wish that would change. I wish that there was better institutional memory of things that were written and that it mattered. And then I also just wish that, like, I really intensely wish that folks would just, like, chill. It's fine. Like, it's totally fine. It's fine if a writer doesn't like a thing the same way you do. It's totally fine. Like, a thing can get a 7 out of 10 and it can change your life. Like, why do you care? Right? Like, there are people who still go, like, bonkers aggro at people still whenever Cyberpunk gets mentioned. And it's like one way or the other. It's like people hate it now or they fucking love it. And it's like, man, just like, what are you doing? I'm sure there's stuff in Cyberpunk that you can love. But also, like... it's like people are also like, well, it was glitchy, so therefore we deserve to beat the shit out of everybody. And it's like, what are you talking about? Bizarre life that people live. Like, just get off the internet. You gotta get off. Wait, where did I enter from? Shit. Why am I getting turned around in Shrine Island of all places? This is where I came from. Yeah, why are people still mad about No Man's Sky? No Man's Sky is amazing now. It's astoundingly good. Do you know how good that game is now? Way to go, Sean Murray. It's like super good. Yeah, that's what I tell people too, is that you should totally look for individual writers that you enjoy rather than like worry about a blanket thing of like, Kotaku said this or IGN gave it a 7 or like, read the people who you think like resonate with you or like whose writing you think is good or whatever. It's like, I don't know. It's totally fine. I've been thinking about this stuff a lot now that I've just been removed from it. Which is also why I feel good about, like, writing my stupid fanfic that nobody is reading. Because, like, man, just feel good about stuff. It's awesome. It costs nothing. It costs nothing to feel good about things that you like, and to save the energy for hating stuff for like Nazis. You just save all that energy for Nazis. We need that energy for the fight against the Nazis. We don't need it for friggin' video games. Like, what do you... Save that heat, that spunk for after. For the stuff that affects you. Save it for, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? It's like, man, priorities. Priorities. I'm sitting here playing through a gorgeous looking version of my favorite game. And you know what? That's just some top tier fun. I swear to God there's another Moonberry location in here, but maybe I'm wrong. Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of the Cham, which is on like the second floor landing or something. Jesus, I'm gonna need to get a guide for this version of the game because there's so many discoveries that I don't remember, because with the Legends version of this game adds a ton more discoveries on the map. Discoveries are actually my favorite thing about this game. I like the combat system. It's pretty straightforward, but has just enough nuance that it's fun. There's some rebalancing mods for this game that turn the combat really tactical, which I think is cool. Which goes to show that if the encounters, like, they very clearly made the encounters in this game loose and breezy so that you could enjoy a swashbuckling adventure. But if you wanted to, this system could translate to some pretty tough encounters if you wanted it to, and every now and then there are some tough fights in this game. But having more discoveries is amazing. It just rounds out the world. It's such a great feeling to just explore a map and find history. It's great. Is the content of Legends unique to it, or is it the downloadable VMU content? Yes, it's both. The VMU content is on here. Like the download content is on here, but there's also a ton of stuff on here that's exclusive to this version of the game. Oh, Aika, I need to switch you to purple. Might be too late with the incredibly powerful weapons that I'm using. I'm doing this so I can catch up to where my old playthrough was, which was Decat's Island. Oh, I wonder, does it retain? It does. Oh, that's cool. So now I can just go back and use... Oh no, Cutlass Fury is 7. I thought it was 6. I was like, great. We win. We're gonna kick butt. Listen to that dynamic music. You could definitely hear when it just kicks in because I'm kicking butt so quickly. That's another thing I like about this game, dynamic battle music. That changes to fit the circumstances. Back in the day, that was a huge novelty. Now it happens all the time. Wow, Aika's just getting... Why is her defense so low in this game right now? That's astounding. 325? In this economy? That's fucked up. Yeah, now the orchestra doesn't like me. That's wild. I don't remember her being this fragile at the start of the game. That seems incorrect. If I want to, I can fast forward too. Blah, 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 blah. Which is good for my purposes. Level 7 already? Increm? Oh, another Moonberry. I'm getting all sorts of good stuff here. Well, the Moonberry's guaranteed, but you know. Freaking great. It's like the breeziest playthrough of the game I've had in a long time. Even ignoring the boosted weapons that I'm using right now. You still think about that one Octopath Traveler music transition that I posted. That soundtrack is astounding. It's maybe one of the best game soundtracks of like the last 5 years. Almost certainly. Super good. Octopath Traveler is a game of cool moments and no connective tissue. It's a bummer. The composer on that is Yasunori Nishiki, for people who are curious. You might know them from a couple other things. Mostly there's like, I think Yasunori Nishiki did a couple tracks in Final Fantasy Remake, but then also some sort of involvement with like Gravity Rush and stuff too, and those games have great music. Yeah, the combat system in that game is really good too. In general, that's a great game. I just wish it had a better plot. There's part of me that loves having each of those characters' stories be self-contained. Right? I think it's cool to just have a story. Like, it's cool to have Ophelia's story just be Ophelia's story, and for a while it be like, oh, what's going on with this cleric? Oh, there was a wolf. And you're like, that's really quaint. And I'm into it. Oh, see, I wish there was HD textures for Ramirez and Galcian. But there aren't. Breaks my heart. Right, like... There's super great stuff in that game. The problem is that it needs to come together, and by the end of it, it literally comes together in, like, sorry, spoiler alert, I'm gonna say it, against, like, a battle against a sleeping god or something, and it makes no dang sense how you get to that point. Like, it's very hazy. That said, amazing final boss music. Astoundingly good. Killer boss fights, especially if you have all the secret advanced classes. That game is so good. There's so many good things about that game. It just needed... The biggest thing against it was that the characters rarely interacted. They had little scenes where they could, but they needed to feel more present. Like, that needed to feel like a party of misfits that happened to be in on each other's adventures and then eventually got pulled into stuff. Which is to say that it needed to feel like an RPG party, and it didn't. It felt like nothing. It felt like nothing. Nothing at all. Listen to me tonight, my voice is so deep. And I have the vocal cadence of a John Mulaney. When do I talk like this? Oh, I should have healed her. Ooh, she hit the looper. That's great. That's like hitting a metal slime and killing it. Two great Yasunoris. Yasunori Nishiki for Octopath Traveler. Yasunori Mitsuda for everything that they've done, but more specifically for Chrono Cross. Which, you know, I would love to play that game on here. But that game is a minefield. It is such a complicated game. An intensely complicated and multi-layered onion of a game. Dear God, do I like it, though. I very much like Chrono Trigger in some ways. I think people overstate how brilliant Chrono Trigger is, but still a very good game. You know. I don't go in here to talk to my mom, right? She's down by the dock. Down by the dock. I think there's a fun thing here. So I have a document that shows me all the text in this game by location. It doesn't do it in order. But I think, like, this should... Like, this is... Look at how small and specific of a dialogue this is. This is a dialogue about some papers in your attic bedroom that says, like, oh, they must have been scattered during the attack. Oh, no, I did this. It tells you a little bit about the character, and also it's, like, really hyper-specific, and responding to this moment. There's tons of little pieces of dialogue in this game that are like that, and you would never be able to find them if you didn't just click everywhere you went. That's what you used to have to do back in the day. You just had to click everywhere. Or are you thinking of the transition to the final phase of Dreamwalker or Dreamweaver? I think I know the moment you're talking about, and it almost definitely is that. Yeah, it's one of the best things that's happened to video game music in like the last handful of years. That's an amazing moment. Yeah, that entire fight is great. It's the best fight in the game. That game is amazing. Final Fantasy VII Remake. You don't even have to have played Final Fantasy to enjoy it. I recommend that you've played Final Fantasy VII beforehand to enjoy it. You'll get a lot more out of it, but holy crap. One of the things I regret was that I streamed through that game, or most of it on stream, pretty much all of it maybe, and I lost all of that footage. There's some moments in that game that just knocked me on my butt. I'm gonna be kind of spoilerific here in some ways, but I'll try and be vague. There's a moment when Cloud first meets Aerith, and it flashes to something, and it shows something that he should not be able to see yet, and it's great. It is amazing. I was hooked. Like, I had liked the game, but up until that point, it felt mostly like a more bombastic and straightforward remake. And then that's the moment where you realize that something else is happening, and it's awesome. It's super good. I am so glad that they decided to do all the things that they did with that game, as opposed to playing it safe. Even though in some ways, they're playing it safe. I think a lot of people at the end of this game are now like, oh, look at the clear texture model on that. You know, this is where I bitch for a second again. People who are in chat who are Skies fans who know me will understand what I'm saying. Look at that nice picture of her tattoo there. The tattoo, the version of it that I have on my arm, yeah, it's not the same. Look, somebody in chat knows. It's driving me bonkers. It's still pretty good. I got 2 more on my arm right now. They're healing. It's, I've had some nerve pain in my arm the last couple days, by which I mean just tension. There's certain parts of my arm that are really tense because because to be fair, my arm was just stabbed many times. A lot. Only a few days ago. What I was saying though is I don't think they're gonna do half the things that some people say that they will for the next couple of games in the remake thing. God, the final one of those games is gonna be out when I'm like in my 40s. That fucking sucks. Oh my god. I don't even want to think about it. I learned the other day that Noah Spoony Antweiler is like 42 or something, and I fucking lost my brain. Way to make me crumble into dust. Absurd. I think they're gonna play it relatively safe for the sequels. I think a lot of the stuff people are like, what if this thing happens? I think a lot of the stuff that you're all expecting to happen will happen. Oh, did I just miss a pirate? I think I did. I think I just missed a chance to level up my pirate ranking there by talking to Alan. I think there's an optional one there. It won't matter, but you know, you know, whatever. Like, I'll say it. It's a spoiler from the 90s. Aerith is still gonna die. She just probably is. If they don't do it, that'd be amazing. I think they will. But you know, whatever. But I'm just putting that out there. I'm allowed to talk about that spoiler. Oh gosh, it sounds so funny that I worry about talking about that spoiler. Am I heading the right way? Fuck. I think so. Oh, I want to go around and like grab many more discoveries, but I think the only next discovery I can grab is the guide stones. I might be going the wrong way. I think I am. This feels incorrect. Feels entirely incorrect. Somebody says they watched Jacob's video on FF7 Remake. Jacob's really been killing it for a while now. He's really been firing on all cylinders. I'm really happy that he's been doing it. I was very flattered to be a part of his charity stream. I think Jacob's fantastically good at what he does. Just what I like. So this is what I'll say. This I won't turn this into the mushy Jacob Geller appreciation hour. I will say one thing I like about what Jacob does is that he incorporates other disciplines into his criticism in a way that many other people don't. Jacob talks about art history. Jacob talks about urban planning. Jacob talks about I'm trying to think, all sorts of things, right? Architecture, excuse me. I said that funny. And those are the sort of things that more people should be doing. Like, they should be incorporating all sorts of other disciplines into their criticism. I wish that I had been better about incorporating my theater knowledge, my theater history knowledge into my criticism. I got to do it sometimes, but not very often. Yeah, I went the wrong way. Whatever. I'm half focusing on the game. I tell people all the time that if they want to understand level design, they should actually just like walk in a, like, I don't know, it sounds so stupid, but it's like walk in a park. I know you can't really do that right now, but understand what makes a good park. Next, do the thing when you're at Disneyland again, if you ever go to Disneyland, where you go, fuck, what are they doing in Disneyland? And the answer is tons of good stuff. Understand what they're doing. What goes into urban planning and theme park planning goes into video games. You should understand things about music. If you like, why would the worst thing that you can do if you want to write about video games is the thing that a ton of people do when they write about video games, and that's only play video games. The best way to write about video games is not to play a lot of video games. That helps. Building your understanding and connection to a canon, a historical canon of games, is super important. And you should be playing a variety of different things. But you can't just play games if you want to write about games. Like, you need to... It sounds so stupid. You need to read books, motherfucker. You need to watch movies. You need to cook dinner. Like, you need to do all that stuff. You kidding me? Like, dude, like, I don't care. I mean, it's shitty for the environment, so I do care, but at the same time, it's like, I don't care if you friggin' do Blue Apron for 2 months, and that's how you learn the basics of cooking. Learn how to cook. Learn the fundamental joy of taking constituent ingredients and turning it into something delicious and wonderful. Or fucking make a game. I know that's like cliche, but it's like, dude, just download RPG Maker and do some crappy scripting. Like, what are you doing? Do you know how easy it is to learn how to script? Like, very basically, it's not that hard. And it will make you, like, you can, like, build out a dialogue tree. Like, what, like, you will understand so much more about the games that you're doing if you understand their construction, if you understand multiple different fields, all sorts of stuff, right? Most people use video games as their only reference point for talking about video games, and that's completely incorrect. I wish I didn't have those weird transitions there. It's a bummer. Yep, Tim Rogers. The thing about Tim Rogers is that Tim knows. Oh, Tim. My dear Timothy. He knows too much stuff. It's terrifying how much Tim knows and the amount of people he knows. He has a story for everything, and it's incredibly affecting and, like, endearing, but also sometimes you're like, oh my gosh. Come on, bud. He's like, yeah, I know that guy. When I was at Sony back in the day, I met that guy. And I'm like, of course you did. Oh, dude, I accidentally chose a bad swashbuckler ranking. Oh my god. What do I do? I gotta fix this. I'm panicking. Oh my god. I'm not putting up with that shit. Friends, give me a second. Ready? I'm not freaking enduring a bad pirate ranking. Can I action replay that? I probably could. To do max rank? That, I wonder, there's gotta be a code. There's a code for everything, isn't there? Tim. I could do a better Tim impression if I let my voice drop even more. My voice is pretty deep right now. But it's definitely, I listened to my old Skies of Arcadia Let's Play out of curiosity. And that was before any, like, real transition stuff. And shucks howdy, that's a whole different person, right? It's amazing. But Tim, I can't do it as well. I used to be able to do a pretty decent Tim. I felt bad doing it. I feel maybe he was upset that I was doing it too. The reason why we have Tim Rogers impressions is because A, he's such a character, and also he's a great person. Like, he's just a good dude. That's 100% the truth. He's just cool. Good fella. Yeah, I'll end up streaming more. I should be writing. I've been trying to get the next chapter of my stupid novelization thing done. We had a long weekend, and I achieved nothing. I've written, like, maybe 1,000 words. That's pitiful. Oh, dang. Am I already talked? I just gotta go to the thing? Great. Tim's Tokimeki review is probably the best thing, I think, personally, that he's ever done. Although I'm sure some people would say like Dragon Quest or something, but I think that Tokimeki, it's so funny because it's so long. Jesus, it's a long video. YouTube videos these days get very long. Oh, I went the wrong way. Why do I get lost in this game anymore? It was so funny. I was sailing through mid-ocean earlier before streaming, and I was like, dang, I feel more at home here than I do like back here in New England right now. Like, I feel so much more comfortable in those skies than in New England. And I don't think that meant that I know them better. I think it just means I'm more comfortable in them. Isn't there? I swear to God, there's a swashbuckler ranking here. Is it Lindsay? Yeah, there it is. I ranked up too. That's why I want to grab it. Noah's fun. Noah sent me a picture of his dog when he was out on the road. And they're in some sort of bizarre Badlands grove of like gnarled trees. It's a very cute picture. I feel a bit bad. When Noah did his Last of Us review, I spoke up. There were some things that were said about Lev that I felt a little weird about, because there was talks about tokenizing and things like that. And I said very publicly, I just said, I don't, if you're not part of a marginalized group, it always feels very weird for me to be commenting on the nature of whether or not like a figure or someone is tokenized. It was like, and I always feel like that's the closest it's ever felt like I was criticizing anything he's done, which I don't want it to feel like that. I feel like that was a fair thing for me to say, because I think Noah's very talented as well. Noah has a very good way with words. There are ways that he turns certain sentences that have a sort of lyricism to them, which I think is very cool. Some writers have that, right? It's just ingrained into what they do. Austin had a certain degree of lyricism to his writing, but that's also because Austin very clearly has a strong grasp of the creative. Right? Like he flexes that every second that he can on Friends at the Table. He gets, he writes fiction stuff now in very big established universes. Like Austin just has that, but it was always present in his writing too. There was a lyricism to his writing, which was clear and present, which I think Noah has as well. And that thing doesn't manifest constantly. Like nobody's sentences when they write are constantly lyrical, but it will manifest in certain moments. I wish I could think of a turn of the phrase off the top of my head, but it does happen. I never had that quality. My writing just does not have that quality. I am woefully academic. Even though I've tried to be personable. Before I was doing criticism and stuff, I did comedy, which is a very personable form of interacting with people. You're literally in dive bars, just chilling. I used to have to get let into dive bars specially because I was underage. I remember that. I used to get paid literally under the table. It was very entertaining. I was a barker for a comedy club for a while too, which was interesting. In Faneuil Hall in Boston. I'd hand out flyers. I would do Thursday night shows. It was a good time. But that certainly never imbued my writing with a folksiness or something. My writing has always been very clinical. I would fix it if I could, but I can't. There we go. Right, but some writers just have a certain lyrical quality to them. Yeah, 10,000 Cutlass Furies. It's a great line. Too bad we don't get to see it here. Drachma, get moving. I wish there was an HD Drachma. There's some sort of texture stuff for most of the main party, but the Drachma texture is like either it's not loading or it's not as as much as the other. Stand-up comedy is truly its own sort of naked thing to do in front of a crowd. I'll tell you though, it's great when you kill, but it also is really exciting when you bomb. Not in the same way, but you certainly do feel alive. The first time I went on stage, I nailed it. And then the second time I went up, I ate shit. So I got the best of both worlds very quickly. Who's messaging me? Hello. Oh, a picture of my office. It's my it's my boss and friend of Idle Thumbs, James Spafford. Not as big as my old office at Kotaku, but you know. If I did this right, I could place like a military cot in there. If I ever needed to sleep at the office, I would just have a cot. I might do that. That'll be great. That's part of the plan now. There's a lava lamp in here? I'm just gonna keep that. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to go up the stairs and everything. I'm fast forwarding.
Get moving!
Oh, you know what? This is entirely inside baseball, but I feel like the way that I've been writing Drachma, I'm very afraid that I'm making him too nice. Which is such a random thing to be like, I don't know. Not to talk too much about the fic, I hear Vise and Aika and Fina in my head very clearly. Drachma's a bit trickier. Because I'm not a salty old man. Enrique was tricky for a while too. It messes with me that I'm much closer to Gilder's age now than to Vise's. Although, yeah. When I first played this game, I was like 10 or 11. It's so funny to think of how much has changed since then. Yeah, he's not carrying the box particularly well. I should really explore the Little Jack. Drachma. Yeah, I need to spend some time fishing in the Arctic. What a great cast of characters this game has. What a stupidly good cast of characters. The boxes have Drachma's flag's symbol on it, too. A swordfish clutched in a black hand. So the next big thing we have to do is Baltor. Maybe I'll just play through Valua tonight. It's like, why the hell not? That's where I need to get through anyway. At least to catch up with the stuff I'm writing. Oh, when I get towards Sailor Island, they're gonna be like, hey, here's your moonfish thing. A lot of the new content, it's not integrated as well into the story. It just is a moment where you're like, oh, this is people with extra content. Right? Because they didn't plan to have extra content in at a time. So some of the moments where it pops up is like kind of weird. It's just like a guy being like, can you come on my ship so I can talk to you? I'm Doc. You're like, okay. 10. 10's really good. For a Final Fantasy. You could, if they want to do something older, you could do like a 6 or a 5. I would say 4 after they've played at least 1. 4 is a really good game though. It depends on their age. How old's your nephew? Yeah, it doesn't talk to you here? Yeah, it's so random, right? Hello? Please come on my ship. They're 14? Yeah, so 10 could be a really good one for them. Another one that might work for them is 8. Even though that one's a little weird sometimes, but he might get a lot out of those characters, right? If he's 14. My first Final Fantasy, I believe, was actually 7. My first time playing through Final Fantasy 7, I was not playing through Final Fantasy 7. We played it, my friend played through it over the course of multiple sleepovers while I watched. And it was still an amazing time. I remember how small the TV we were playing it on was, but it was right on the floor, and we would be in his basement, and we just play that. I remember the first time we got through Midgar and into Shinra Tower. It was like amazing. Because I didn't have a PlayStation. I didn't have a PlayStation until PlayStation 2. I had a Nintendo 64, which was not where the RPGs were, unfortunately. Crystal Chronicles. Shoutouts to those characters that I know sort of because I played Dissidia. Oh, I play too much Dissidia. Don't get me started on it. If you play Dissidia, just be careful, it's a gacha. But also, I like Dissidia a lot. I think it's really good. Not the fighting game, the mobile game. It's like actually really good. This is so funny that... So I'm playing Skies of Arcadia right now for all of you in the same room that I first finished Skies of Arcadia in. So many years ago. I moved back with my family because of the apartment fire in the city, and then, you know, my plan was only to stay here for a while, and then the pandemic just kept on getting worse. So it's not, you know, it's this thing where I can't, like, I can't just move to San Francisco right now. I could, but it would be very weird. So I'm just waiting until, like, vaccines are more common and things like that, and then I'll finally move west, which is terrifying. But this means that I have my original Dreamcast in front of me with the original Skies of Arcadia disc in it, in the same room that I finished Skies of Arcadia when I was like 10 years old. Life is funny sometimes, and also some things don't change, even though they do. What I need to do is dig through... I used to have all my games on a shelf here, and then my father moved them. So I need to find my copy of Skies of Arcadia Legends, because that thing's worth like at least $275 or something right now. And I would like to have it. I know it's somewhere in this house. Hey, Lawrence. Don't talk to me. I'm Lawrence. Oh, I didn't grab the guide stones. Shit. I'm gonna have to grab them later. And then just turn back around. But I'm gonna sell him the pirate's grave. You found what? I love that dialogue. You found what? The Dreamcast prices are... You're gonna be paying over $100 for Skies. I mean, it depends on the quality of the copy that you're getting, obviously. But you'll probably pay more than $100, unfortunately. The most obnoxious sound in the world. The moonfish indicator. I mean, I'm gonna buy a super fresh copy of it, and it's gonna cost me like $200-something probably. I need a fresh copy of this game, because I actually don't have my jewel case anymore. One of the big things in this version is collecting these moonfish. It leads to an entire subplot that tells you more about Doc and that girl Maria, and there's a bounty hunter named Piastol, and it tells you more about Ramirez's backstory. It's actually really cool stuff, but it's tied to a weird system. Yeah, so this is not the Dreamcast version. I'm restarting to get this caught up to the Dreamcast playthrough that I was on. I am not even playing on original hardware. I am emulating the shit out of this and adding some HG textures and a couple other things. This is a mystery merchant. I'm also cheating a little. Just a tad. You can see the menus are even HD. Bye, Leica. I'm sorry I'm not streaming as much anymore. Life's been weird. I'll stream more. Eventually. Oh, did I not equip the Slayer ring? I thought I did. On Ica? So, like, I don't know. This is just... I could grab... I could grab my copy of Legends, and there's a Dreamcast, there's a GameCube right near me, and I have my upscaler. So I could play on original hardware, probably, but also I wanted to take photos. I wanted the higher quality, and you know, Dolphin's an amazing emulator. It's like astoundingly good. You know, I own these games, so this felt like a way to enjoy them again. This is Pinta. You don't get to do Pinta's Quest in this game. I would have loved if there was like a GBA Pinta's Quest. You can also fast forward through the ladder climbing. Yes, you absolutely can. Which I have done sometimes. Pinta is weird. Look at his little belly jiggle. You're cool. He's weird. Yes, Pinta's Quest was a VMU only minigame. I just bought a new VMU. I got a blue one. It's really cool looking. My other VMU is here. I would have to replace the batteries if I wanted to play Pinta's Quest. But you know, my save files are still there. It's great. This was one of the moments of the story I was actually glad to rewrite in the novelization I'm doing. Because some moments in this game are just like, talk to this random NPC, and instead you can turn it into like, oh, this thing happened, and oh, this person was here, and Pinta told them about the information instead of XYZ. Are there two fucking... Oh my god, there's two moonfish here? Wow. You don't get to see it, but he's holding a blunderbuss that shoots a thingy. Oh, you know what I want to go grab while I'm here is the balloon. The thing about playing Killer 7 on Dolphin is that you don't need to anymore because there's an official port. That's an amazing game. Killer 7's really good. I want to grab this balloon so that I can recruit Merida later. Oh, there it is. I was like, where is it? Oh, look at those 2D birds that flew by. That's great. Oh, that's really good. I love that. Those are pretty great. There's a great bird right there. Yeah, you can do this too, which is pretty great. Look at that. Amazing. There's cut animations for monkey bars, but there's not cut animations for sliding. You can slide down poles. You can't slide down ladders in this game? Come on, world. Can I buy repair kits? Or is he going to be like, we're out of stock? I wonder. I don't fully understand what is on his face. They're like goggles, sort of. He looks like that dude from Star Trek. Geordi LaForge, right? Oh, you know, some people, I'm in a Discord full of Skies of Arcadia nerds, and people were asking about how water gets made in these, I only ever really watched the Star Trek movies with my uncle He passed away when I was very young. I feel like I was maybe 12 or something, or maybe even younger. I really forget. I'm not good with dates. He passed away when I was very young, but he was a big Star Trek fan. So I remember going to see, I think like First Contact or maybe some other things, maybe something else in theaters with him and my father. And I know people are like, First Contact isn't Star Trek, and I know because I've watched some of the TV series, and I've been working my way slowly through Deep Space Nine. But I always think of beat around the bush is the correct thing here. But some of those are cool. I think of Geordie LaForge sometimes. Like a cool engineer guy, even though he's actually kind of dweeby. Yeah, we'll just play through Valua. I'm gonna cheat a little with some of the weapons and items that I have, but you know, whatever. What I should do is I should download one of the rebalancing mods and play that. I should play like Mason or something. Because there's a couple of balancing mods that alter the combat. And that'd be kind of fun. I feel like one of them crashes your game at a certain point though, so you have to switch it off for a little bit. I think I remember. I think it crashes at the weird tortoise thing. This is Anne's daughter. It's like, you putting on a little too much makeup there. Or Polly's daughter, Anne. Too much. I'm confused about this, by the way. Can I go into first person mode in here? I can't. You could, but when we were talking to Polly, you kind of saw it. There's a poster on that wall, and it looks like it's just a picture of Blueheim, which is like, that seems incorrect. There shouldn't just be a picture of the blue Gigas on the wall. Where do I find the bounty, the thing that says like, oh, the bounty postings? And it shows Vize's dad's name. Anyway, we gotta talk to this guy. Use the moonfish grabber thing? I can't. I was hitting the button and I wasn't doing it. I know, it's heartbreaking. Look at this tiny little man. This tiny little man who's gonna help us counterfeit a passport. Thanks, bud. Oh, those HD models are great. The HD Fina model is super good. I'm biased because Fina's my favorite character in any game ever. But also, I don't know, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice looking model that they did. Really good textures. Okay, will it let me go far enough to get to the guide stones, or will they be like, ah, where you going, boy? You can't go that way, yar. I'm gonna grab... I can see... They literally just panned by the island where it is. So if they're like, ah, you can't, me hearty, I'll be very upset, because this is just where I need to go. Huh? Awesome, great. This is one where he's like, yes, I've heard of its existence. Because literally it's right near them, so I would hope that they know about it. But I'm gonna turn this in, and Domingo can suck my butthole. Take that, Domingo. I'm finding all of these things before you. Domingo has a line in the Blue Rogues attack. So there's a couple of secret attacks in this game that the game never tells you exist, where if you fill up your spirit meter after you have the Delphinus, you can either use an attack called Prophecy, where you literally make the moon fall on someone, which is great, or you use one called Blue Rogues, which uses your active party roster on your ship to do a variety of attacks. Very fun. Some of the things heal you. All the crew members have their own lines. I think it's the only time you hear their voices in the game, or it's most of them. And Domingo has one where he goes, I'm gonna say it in his dumb, stupid voice. He goes, "Found some treasure!" And it's hysterical to me. I think it is hilarious the way that he talks. Oh, dude, what the fuck? Does it follow you? Have I never noticed this? Oh my gosh! I learned something new about Skies of Arcadia! I never knew that they followed you. I thought they were just theoretically there. Oh my gosh, that's awesome! I love it. Super good. Fast forward buttons are great. Having a fast forward feature in the new version of FF8 makes that game like 20 times better. It just makes it a better game. You can just actually draw magic and junction it, and it doesn't feel like a goddamn chore. I know people make a fuss about the magic junctioning system, maybe a little too much. We mentioned Spoonie earlier, and he certainly didn't like it back in the day, for whatever that fucking matters anymore. And I don't know, just having like the ability to two time in that game is like amazing. A lot of games should just offer that feature. RPGs in general should probably just have it. Look at these weird-ass puffer fish things. The enemy designs in this game are sometimes very strange. The strangest, of course, being the bizarre tikis inside the Temple of Pyron that make their little wiggly-wobbly tiki sound. They just go tuku tuku tuku, and you're like, what is going on? And then they attack you with a fire attack that hits everyone. Because why would we make the mob monsters easy in this game? Some of the hardest fights in this game can be random encounters. We're gonna have to fight Baltor. It's piss easy, which is great. Here's my tip for ship battles in this game. After you get the harpoon cannon, you should buy stuff for the little Jack before you go to Maramba. You should have torpedoes, or at least sub-cannons. Because otherwise, the fight with Beleza kind of sucks. And so does the fight with Rakumin. Just a little bit. But mostly the fight with Beleza. You just need firepower for that fight, and the game is never like, hey, you should build up your ship. That, you know? But you should. You should. A rule for any friggin' video game. Buy equipment all the time. You dumbass. Do it. Yeah. I love the fact that the Little Jack is such a small ship. Intensely great ship. You can do this, by the way. Wait, can you? I thought you could examine. Come on. I swear you can examine things in battle. Oh, never mind. Whatever. Ship battles in this game are great. I know a lot of people who kind of are like, I don't get it. And, you know, I think it's fantastic. Not because they're hyper-tactical, they're not, even though they have a certain degree of tactics built into that possibility space, which is the grid. But just because they're kind of evocative and fun. I've rambled about this a lot in my first playthrough of this game. That's like 5 years old now. That grid is essentially like a canvas, and you can do a lot of cool things with it, which are fundamentally more complex than some of the interactions that you can set up in like a normal battle scenario in this game. Which is to say that you can time like your torpedoes for very specific things, or have big burst turns that are like sub-cannons, torpedoes, and a bunch of other stuff. Like, you don't just have to be like, I'm gonna use the Moonstone Cannon, but you can. There's just a lot of possibilities. It's really great. Little important thing to know, evasive action just takes effect only on the turn that you use it. So if you're like, I should take evasive action beforehand on the turn before, don't do that, you dummy. Do it on the turn of the danger. And it doesn't matter if your animation for it goes off second. It is always applied at the start of the turn. That's just how the battle system works. Oh boy, Little Jack. The Little Jack looks so funny without the harpoon cannon on it. Looks like such a little stumpy little thing. That model's really cool though, because if you look at it, you can actually see through some of those windows. Which I think is impressive. I think that's neat. I like how this tactical moment is, he's trying to get behind us, what should we do? And you go, what if we got behind him? And they're like, brilliant idea, Vise. You nailed it. I get it's the tutorial fight, but you know. We're gonna end this man's whole career, by the way. I wanted to shoot a standard cannon, because I just think that's fun. If I die here, it'll be embarrassing. But that literally was pretty much half his health there, so I'm feeling pretty good. I got my new... my, new Skies of Arcadia 20th Anniversary Eternal Skies fanzine. Howdy, do I have a Patreon or something? Oh gosh, I don't need one. I am fully employed at a very cool video game studio. I make more than enough money. It's flattering though. I did have a Patreon when I was like 5 years ago when I was making videos of my own. And then I became a journalist and then I do this. So I appreciate that. I would say if you wanna support someone, definitely not me, you can check out Patreon /com/abnormal mapping, or like Jacob Geller, or Stop Skeletons from Fighting. A bunch of cool people out there who could probably use things. If you're, you know, whatever. There you go. Yeah. That's great. To the Horizon is rad. That's one person who's read it. That's amazing. He's gonna bonk him on the head and it's great. Good job, buddy. That might be one of the few times that you see that particular texture of Vise with the gritted teeth. Oh, you thought that was a bot? That's too specific to be a bot. That's like somebody saying a very kind thing for real. Unless I'm misunderstanding you. No, I don't have a Patreon. I make yeah, I make enough, I'll say. Certainly more than I did at my old job. Not that that matters, but you know, just putting some things into context. Where's my captain stripe? Hell yeah. Do I have any repair kits? I have no repair kits right now. 1989. Health total for Drachma. I always like these Nazar ships that are just like walls of guns. Like that one. That's cool. That's just super neat. Of course you would just have your border patrol vehicles be these big spike wall things with guns. Look at those textures, Jesus Christ. That should be illegal. Look at how good those look. Dude, fuck me up. All they need to do for a port is like, well, what they need to do is just have Legends and have the good music from the Dreamcast version is what they need. But if they could have the HD textures, like pay the people who made them or something and just port them into your game and then have the good music and everything too, it'd be amazing. Granted, this is basically as good of a PC port as you can really ask for. Because if they do port this game, I don't think they'll do it with the good music. It'd be amazing if they did, but that's stuff only nerds like us care about. You know? I would just be thankful for this game to be playable by anyone. Whoa, that picture popping up of like the weird loopers there was actually kind of scary. That was really surprising. That scared me. I don't like when random pictures pop up. Call me crazy, but I get spooked. I can resize the resolution to 8K. I can. I just haven't messed around with Dolphin too much. Not that I don't understand Dolphin, but also, like, this is fine. This is at a pretty steady 30. With clear as a summer day, but I could put it in 8K. I could do whatever. I don't know if I would do it in 8. I mean, I could. It depends. I just haven't messed around with a lot of Dolphin settings, so I was like, this runs well enough. We'll get to Valua. And we'll go through the fucking catacombs, which are a really evocative location, but also might be one of my least favorite dungeons in the game. My least favorite dungeon is in Yafutoma. It's Mount Kazai. I never know where I'm going in that dungeon, and I've played this game like 11 times or something ridiculous. I've played through this game so many times. Hold on a second. Yeah, we're fine. This is the way to Valua. I was like, I must be going in the right direction. Yeah, there's the Grand Fortress. They're like, oh, this passport seems okay. It's clearly for another person. Oh, I do feel bad the way that when I switch to certain scenes, I'm getting that video artifact-y thing. Not a fan of that. I wonder if there's a way to fix that. If anybody knew how to fix that, you'd be my hero. But that could just be a thing that happens all the time when you play on this. Let's fast forward a bit. This scene's kind of slow. The Grand Fortress is both a really cool idea and also just like a little weird. Another massive gun wall, which, okay, I'm into, but also just this weird door. And the idea that it's the only way to get into the country. And you're like, Jesus. It's a little much, fellas. Do we go straight into the Admiral scene after this? We might. We might go straight into the scene with the Admirals. Oh, look at those textures! My god, look how good Vise looks. That's illegal. That's fucking fucked up. Ah. Oh, some people are sending me a business question. Give me a second while I actually answer this. There we go. Yeah, this is the scene with the admirals. This was not that I want to talk too much about my writing. This was a fun one to write. These are cool characters. I think Del Loco is fun. My sound has been fine on this version, except for the fact that it is the Legends downgraded sound, right? The music, not brilliant. Vigoro, who I hate. And yet the game turns him into the final secret hidden boss in this version. Air Pirate Vigoro. DeLoco, like, I got problems with DeLoco too. I get the enemies just gotta be like this weird goon patrol of enemies, but like, man, DeLoco's weird. I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't find him endearing. His fucking bubblehead thing makes no sense to me. No sense to me. He's just in a bubble. And they don't need to explain it. It's fine. I can make my own conclusions. But also, dude's in a bubble and it's kind of random. Ugh. This is like baby's first Midgar, but I like it. By which I mean, you know what? I appreciate that this game at least cares about like the class divides in certain settings and like the way things work in different cultures. It's not super in depth because this game is like a smorgasbord smattering of different semi-caricatured slices of life. But you know, the places that you go to have certain amounts of consideration to them, which is cool. It never quite feels like you're just going to another JRPG town. It feels like you're going to at least a place that they really thought about, if only because the geography and also the geometry of these spaces is really good. One thing that I think Skies of Arcadia does really well and gets it, people don't pay attention to it, is that at the time, I think it uses 3D space incredibly well. Having dungeons that are incredibly vertical, having spaces like this, like just hidden spaces all over the towns where you can explore, and it feels kind of sensible, even though you're also just going down an alley to a magic chest full of crystals or something. It's cool. I think this game uses 3D space really good. Like this entire like city here is on a slope, and you go down an elevator. Everything's really, really good. Just in the raw design of every space that you're in this game is like pretty fucking solid. Each of the dungeons kind of has a gimmick in the way that Zelda dungeons has gimmicks, and that's cool too. A lot of them have to do with water, in the sense that there's Shrine Island where you have to drain water. There's a portion of Temple of Pyron where you have to use water to turn the lava into something you can walk across. There's Mount Kazai where it's just draining water in a bunch of different places. The point is that they use a lot of water, but it's still a very cool vertical game. A lot of the dungeons do have cool gimmicks, or the spaces are just inherently evocative, like Glacia, just like this upside down city underneath like a sheet of ice. It's all really good. Side note, there's a monster in the sky near Glacia, and it's like some sort of giant flying spider. And I gotta say, oh, I went past where the moonstone is. Shit, I think I did. We'll find out. No, it's actually down here. I'm fine. It's a weird monster, and I don't know what it's doing there. That's my one criticism of Skies of Arcadia. Giant, like, I'm just going over here to get this moonberry, by the way. Giant flying spider monster, no explanation. And it kind of is gross looking. Have I played Trails of Cold Steel? No. I feel like there's way too many of those games, by which I mean exactly what I said. It seems really intimidating. Delta Shield. Look at this. And I can give Drachma Tackle? Does Tackle just take one moonberry? Yo, my team is stacked right now. What the fuck? This is awesome. This is like the best early game moonberry situation I've had maybe ever. That's awesome. To be fair, when I started this game, the very first fight I did on Alphonse's airship dropped a moonberry, so good luck there. I've never played this game to the point where every character has had all of their special abilities. I've always just had to prioritize. which usually just means that Drachma doesn't have Hand of Fate, and Ica, when I first played this game the first time, did not have Omega Cyclone. But also, by the time you get Omega Cyclone, you just have better attacks. You can just use Rain of Swords. Pretty sure it costs less spirit points even. What's Omega Cyclone cost, like 21 or something? Maybe that's too much. But it's an ultimate attack, so it feels like it should be upwards. Should be pretty high. Look at Marco. Do you know Marco is supposed to be 12? This dude does not look 12. He looks like a small little child. This little rapscallion. This would be Oliver Twist, Artful Dodger, motherfucker. Oh, I have to go down. That's where the inn is. I walked past it. He does not look 12. 12-year-olds are not that small. When you're a 12, you're almost 13, which means that you're almost a man. That's just how science works. And you're not that small when you're 12. I like that chalk exists. Which is good for this kid. I'm small. You can eat as much white bread as you want. It's very heavy-handed what they do in Lower City and Upper City, but you know what? I like it. This game, for a while, or in a lot of ways, hedges on being very broad, and its subversions come at very key, crucial plot moments. But the world itself is very broad and pulpy, which I find endearing. I've always said that this game is for the first half, very traditional, and then I think in the second half tends to get a little bit more subversive than it gets credit for. A lot of people treat this as like the big JRPG reconstruction after Final Fantasy VII. That's the narrative, right? They say Final Fantasy VII came out and that was edgy, and then a bunch of other games tried to be edgy, and then Skies of Arcadia came out and it was like not edgy, which felt different at the time, which is kind of true. But also, like, I don't know. I think this game sometimes, I don't know, it does the same sort of subversions that other games do. People make a big fuss at the fact that Kefka destroys the world. Fucking Galcian basically nukes like an entire country. You know, he does it with a ton of small meteors, but he does it. The game gets more complicated, is my point. And they could have kept it more broad. I don't know. Fucking Vise the ninny. Vise, what should we do? Maybe we should go back home. That's what Vise the ninny sounds like in my head. Vise, what should we do? This giant monster's here. We should attack him. I have bad ideas. Very bad ideas. Terrible ideas. I see some familiar faces in the chat, and they've not spoken up. Nothing I've said tonight has been cogent or particularly interesting, I think. But thank you all for watching. I'm gonna catch up to Marco, this little buddy. Maybe everybody should leave after I did those voices. Those were obnoxious. It's okay. If you keep on going to the right, you should catch up to Marco. Usually he just drops like a Sakura crystal or something. Ready? Take that, buddy. Yeah, there it is. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna need to buy some stuff before I go into the dungeon anyway. I have infinite money. I might as well. Heather, that's cheating. Yes, friends. I'm fast forwarding this a bit. This is another long scene where Marco's just like, I don't care if I die. And Drachma's like, good, we should kill you. And Vise and Ica are like, hey, Captain, can we not kill the kid? Ready? Look at him. He's like, you leave us no choice. We're gonna have to kill you, boy. And you're like, dude, your entire emotional arc hinges upon the fact that you are upset about your dead child, and you're just threatening to kill a kid? Come on, Captain Drachma. Captain Dingus. Or whatever. I can't talk tonight. What time is it right now? 10:30 something? That's terrible. I'm also fast forwarding because this is where I was when I needed to restart because my game was having glitches. I always forget that there's actually merchants here in Lower City. There's a party in my brain that goes like, oh, there's nothing to buy here. And it turns out there's like 2 whole merchants. There's a weapons merchant and all sorts of stuff. The only thing that isn't there, I think, is a ship merchant, if I remember correctly. They're just conspicuously missing. I think they're in the higher part of the city, though. So I need to go up on the funicular, on the elevator again. What's the difference between a funicular and an elevator? This looks like a funicular. Right? You know what game is a game where they use the word funicular a lot? Deus Ex Human Revolution. There's an entire section where Pritchard is like, Jensen, you need to sneak onto the funicular. And I remember it. Because that's a funny word that not many people use. Yeah, aren't the shops up here? Right, this has got to be it. No. Are there any secret dialogue options here for when I look at the food or something? Yeah. There's so much interesting incidental dialogue in this game. I'm so glad. Oh gosh, I forget who made it. I think it was this fella named Nose Guy. Who, it's just an entire document of every piece of dialogue in the game. It's really useful. It's really good. I think it's cool to have merchants that all look the same. It's kind of endearing. You're like, that's the weapon merchant guy. But I also, you know, Mage's Bane. I'm gonna put that on Drachma. Because we're about to fight a bunch of mages. Funny how that works. And I'm gonna buy a modest amount of Sakura crystals. Not excessive. Let's assume that I went into this with a little bit of money. And I got like a smattering of those and like maybe 3 of those. It's still a lot. With those extra 3, that's 7 Sakura's crystals. Sakura's crystals are great. And usually when I play this game, I don't buy stuff here. I'm just buying it because I'm streaming and it would be really embarrassing. Wait, why do I have all of Vise's weapons and Aika's weapons but not Drachma's? That's weird. We're gonna buy him a thing that every pirate needs. A hook hand. Incredibly important. Oh, can you imagine being a pirate who got his hand cut off and not having a hook hand? What? At some point, you have to turn in your pirate card. Oh, you know what's a good pirate game? Black Flag. Unironically good game. Not every Assassin's Creed is a good game, I think. That one, genuinely good. Edward Kenway, really interesting, flawed, crappy character who goes on a genuinely interesting arc. Good job, Ubisoft. I'll tell you, one game that I've cooled on a bit since I reviewed it was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I still think is really good, but also in retrospect, I think that game's too big. I'm terrified of playing Valhalla. Because everything that people have said makes that game world seem huge. And that's cool, but also like, I don't know, Breath of the Wild had a pretty big game world, but not massive, you know what I mean? And it still felt big. It still felt really big. What am I even talking about anymore? Rambling like a fool. This is technically a sewer level. Vaguely like a crypt level. I think the implication is that they built sewers and then they accidentally broke into catacombs. A chocolate orange? Fun times. I treated myself to something nice today. I had sushi for lunch, which I haven't had for a while. What a lovely thing. Sushi for lunch. Look at these fun little rabbits. Thankfully, I can use this now on first turn, which is essential. The battle theme in this version of the game sounds so bad. Sorry for me to bitch for a second. The music in this version of the game is not good. It's just blatantly inferior. And yet everything else about this version of the game is great. What a heartbreaker. What a heartbreaker. Kills me. They're just, it's bits and pieces. It's like certain instruments that sound really tinny. It's frustrating. Because I want to love this version of the game, because I think it's a fine version of the game, and yet I feel inexorably compelled, 9 times out of 10, to play the Dreamcast version just because it sounds better. Oh no. Oh no. Part of my controller fell off. Don't ask. It's fine. Fixed it. This is the first dungeon that feels like a really hard dungeon, insofar as that there are certain battle configurations here with enemies that can be pretty punishing. Oh, these enemies are like one of my favorites in the game, and they're also really sad. The Mind Stealers. They're giant bugs that have taken over corpses, and you know, that's not good. Oh my gosh. Dragon Quest XI's music? Why, like, I can't imagine not playing the better version now. To be fair though, I don't think a lot of Sugiyama's compositions are good. The main theme of Dragon Quest and stuff is great. I don't like the battle theme in that game at all. It is one of my least favorite battle themes in a game, and which is not a good thing in an RPG because you have to hear a battle theme all the time. That's like 90% of your game. If you don't have a banger for your battle theme, you're kind of screwed. Octopath Traveler has 3 genuinely amazing bangers. Well, the crappy thing about the Dragon Quest XI main battle theme is like this weird brassy start to it. It's like, ready? I'm gonna do a bad impersonation of it. It's like, it's very bad. It's way too much. And that's what you get when you let a weird bananas old man. Sorry, Sugiyama. I guess I'm sorry. Just keep on going. I hate that theme. It's a very bad battle theme. Yeah, it's a little bit like Toad. That's how obnoxious it is. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not really sorry for talking about Sugiyama. He's said some bad things, but I feel I feel sorry in the same way that I feel bad for anything that is vaguely ageist. Right? Of me being like, this old weirdo, and then I feel bad, like, I called him old. You know, so there's that. Like a Dragon has some really good battle themes, yeah. Oh my gosh, so there's I can't spoil the boss fight, but I heard the battle theme for it. I haven't even got to that point in the game, but somebody shared the music with me. I know that there's a boss fight with a very particular character who I will not spoil for anybody, because people in the chat might be playing it. Wow! An amazing remix of a familiar Yakuza tune. Stupidly good. I cannot wait to get to that fight and just get swept up in the moment. I guess I could stream some of my Yakuza playthrough. What chapter am I in? Only like chapter 7 or something. I don't want to turn everything I play into streaming though. I've really enjoyed just playing Yakuza without needing to worry about anything. You know, we were talking about that earlier when the stream started, where so much of my life was just content creation of one form or another, that it feels really reassuring to not have to do that. But I don't know, I could stream Yakuza. That feels like a good time. A happy good time. I've been playing for a little bit with the English dub, and it's actually really good. Yakuza 4 is my favorite Yakuza. You're playing Yakuza 4 introduces my favorite character in the series. Can you guess who it is? Oh, chapter 4. Oh, I got excited. I was like, Yakuza 4. If anybody can still guess who my favorite character in that series is, I'll get you a sandwich. It's another character who's surprisingly like I'm his age now, or around his age, which I thought was very funny. No, it's Akiyama. Yeah, somebody said it. Oh, that they put it in the form of a question, which means that if this was Jeopardy, then yeah, you won, but otherwise, you were just shooting shit in the dark. Sajima's cool, but Sajima is not as... I don't find him as inherently likable as Akiyama, although he does have one of my favorite scenes in that game, which is when he's fighting in the cage fight in Purgatory, and everybody's like, kill the guy, and he yells at them because he has just escaped from prison for the murder of like 14 dudes. Vague spoilers. And he's like, yo, you should not be telling me to kill people. Killing people, it feels awful. It's a very good scene. It's a very good Yakuza scene of him being very broad and like crying. Yakuza is a series where men do one of two things. They sing karaoke or they cry. Well, actually 3 things. They sing karaoke, they cry, or they kill each other. And it's great. Those games have everything. Yakuza is a game about various different complicated tattoos and being a dad. Great games. Akiyama's only in 6 for a little while. He's only really in it near the start. He's good in that game. I like Yakuza 6. That was a really fun one to play through. That was when they were first really switching over to the Dragon engine as well. So it felt really new in the sense that, you know, it felt like a shift for the series. And then I think they really refined, so the way that they use the Dragon engine in Like a Dragon feels a little bit more limited, like in the sense that the fidelity doesn't always seem as high as something like Kiwami 2, which is my way of saying that there's some world details in Kiwami 2 that are just killer. And yet at the same, I don't know, I've been adjusting to certain things in Like a Dragon, a game which I think is amazingly good, and I haven't even finished it. Top tier game. I love it. I'm loving every second of it. I'm not used to not being in Kamurocho. Yeah, Kiwami 2 feels like when they really started to understand what they were doing with the Dragon Engine. Which makes sense, because they just had one game under their belt where they were literally putting it all together. Swapping engines is not a minor thing. I will have to get used to the idea of probably not spending as much time in Kenrocho. But you know, whatever. Treasure chest. There's some vague stuff that's kind of implied through the world design of this level and a later section of it, that this is like partially some sort of old world underground shrine or like actual catacombs. It's really unclear. It's like a lore fan's like fever dream though, because you can just read all sorts of implication into certain things. But I like the idea of a city that built some sewers and like they just busted into all this other stuff. It's not a new trope, but it's a really fun one. Oh, that's so funny, because I do have those weapons. The game's like, you can't get another version of that weapon. I didn't know that weapons technically counted as unique items. The game apparently knows. This is technically a downgrade, but we'll use it. I should not have had this weapon by now. This is like a mid-game weapon. So we'll swap down to something more reasonable. Vi's the competent. Congratulations, Vi's, on being competent. One thing that's weird, so I just was messing around with cheat codes to see if I could move faster to get, because for originally when I was replaying this game, I was doing it mostly for the text that I didn't have and for screenshots. One weird thing is that here, because of the cheat I used, somehow the Tuna Cutlass and the Skyfang are here? I have no clue how that works. And I'm afraid that if I try it, I'm going to crash the game. Don't know how that happened. Very strange. Part of me wants to go into battle and see what will happen. Part of me is afraid that the game will explode. So, you know, I'll probably sell those or something and just get them the fuck out of my inventory. This is a really cool image too. This is what I mean about like cool environment design. Like it's so low near the bottom of the city that you actually get to see down into the like lightning cloud layer. Like that's just cool, right? That's really cool. And it takes a level that started as like green sewage, turned into stony catacombs, and then adds a little bit of extra spice to it. It's not a lot, but it's enough to make the space feel a little bit more interesting and storied. And in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a thing, but it has a big impact. I call those things elegant. I think that elegant decisions are ones that have great amounts of effect with not a lot of quote-unquote effort, right? Or at least with less moving pieces. Elegant systems are ones that don't have excess complications, but also which achieve a lot. I don't like talking about systems too much, though. Specifically now I'm focusing on systems, even though I was just talking about environment stuff. I had some rough times with some academics back in the day. And I think to myself, they were really obsessed with systems. You can see, this is kind of neat though. You can actually partially see where the outline of the door is. And it says that. That's cool, right? If you notice that, the game gives you a little bit of fun. little bit of fun for noticing that, or heading back here in a second playthrough and going, what if I tried to open that door? That's good design. It anticipates something that a player would do, and it rewards them for that interaction. And it's a small reward, but it's still a reward for your curiosity to be rewarded. This is really nice too. This is a nice little image. Unfortunately, it's for a giant monster with like jelly belly and like skulls full of, you know, acid or whatever the hell. But you know, this is a really cool thing to happen for a boss fight, before a boss fight too, is to see the boss, to see the danger, and then run towards it. Great. A lot of small lessons being learned here in the catacombs. Oh, he's green element, so we should just all be using fire. We're gonna beat him up. I like when you hit him and he does. Oh, Aika's doing more damage than Vi's right now because I had her with that weapon. I forgot to swap it out. That's funny. The Assassin's Blade is one of my favorite weapons in the game, though. You'll see in a minute. I'll show you it. First off, it can also do poison, which is cool. Also, look at that thing. It's like this cool kit-bashed razor blade thing that fits over the Moonstone blade. Fucking cool. Right? Feels like some weird put-together makeshift assassin's blade of doom. I'm into it. Oh, tackle's 10, that's right. Who's gonna get knocked out in these fights? Someone's gonna get knocked out. Which sucks, because this game does one thing that I actually think is bad, which is that if a character is knocked out in a fight, they don't earn experience. You should never modulate your experience. Like, I mean, you can, right? I shouldn't say never, because you can totally modulate your experience curve. Yeah, you should just listen to the good version of this track. Let's try this. Let's
try this.
Like, that sound effect is bad. That's like a bad version of that sound effect. What I mean is that, like, I don't think everybody should just get a flat rate of experience, but what I think shouldn't happen, like, you can give people who are outside of battle less experience or something. But I don't like, or you can have people who get knocked out get less experience, but I don't like the idea of, having, like, well, actually, she should heal Drachma. Of having these characters very clearly stunted. There's something about that that feels bad. And it also means a lot of work for the player eventually. Or not as much. There's like, but it can mean a lot of work for the player. Which is weird. There's a slight version of this where when you get Aika, or excuse me, Aika, when you get Fina in the party, she starts at level 1 and you're all at like level 12 or so. Maybe? I forget what level you end up by then. Maybe like 10 or 11. 12, depending on what you're doing. And that's fine because she'll catch up to folks quickly. Because, like, she'll just be fighting experience, like higher experience monsters with a higher experience party, and that's fine, right? Like, if you're able to allow people to have that catch-up curve be nice and quick, then it's totally cool, because that tells us something about Fina mechanically, right? Like, numbers in games are just abstractions, but they point to certain quote-unquote truths about the game space that they are abstracting, or the world, or the fictional setting that they're abstracting. That tells us something about Fina, and like literally her amount of experience, which is that she has none. And a couple other things, right? Like, it's very straightforward and understandable, but the numbers exist like that for a reason, and because those numbers represent some sort of truth that isn't just the numbers, right? It expresses a fictional truth. This might do it. This turn might do it. I might leave Aika with this weapon. The transitions in this version are weird. They're very sudden in the dynamic music. I seem to recall them being a little bit not as hog bonkers.
That was a close one.
Suikoden 3, a game that I really like. Genuinely really like that game. Oh, she learned Increm right before the battle with the friggin' Executioner. That's great. That's fucking awesome. I'm gonna Increm Drachma, and he's just gonna beat the crap out of people. That's top tier. That's like... certain things about this playthrough have been really fortuitous, and that's an example. Suikoden 2 does have ducks. Sergeant Joe. A couple other folks. Suikoden 5 has beavers. An entire village full of beaver folk. Suikoden 5, a very good game, which I haven't played since it released. I like Suikoden 5 a lot. You know what I have near me within not quite within arm's length, but close enough that I could grab it? Suikoden Tactics. Also known as Rhapsodia in Japan. Which is a tactics game based off of Suikoden 4, aka the worst one. Suikoden 4 is like tons of good ideas and just the worst execution. Also, no real central compelling villain, which is something that you really want in a Suikoden. Suikoden 2 has Luca Blight, which everybody makes a fuss of. Oh, Luca Blight, Luca Blight. I don't think he's that great. But Suikoden 3 has the Masked Bishop, who fucking rules. Once you realize who he is, that's a great reveal if you're a fan of the series. Yeah, something about the sound effects in here are a little weird. Do tactics make it better? No, but it's a pretty good tactics game. It's not bad. And if you have a Suikoden 4 save file, you can unlock certain characters and stuff. It's really cool. It's technically a sequel to Suikoden 4. And it does a lot of heavy lifting to make that game's story palatable. I think if you play them back to back with each other, it's not bad. So wait, that's Timus, Luke, and I didn't see who the other one was. I think Briggs shows up for 2 seconds too. Shoving. I think he's one of the people who shoves the guards. I wasn't paying attention. So Timus, Luke, Briggs, and someone else. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. This is a surprisingly difficult fight. It's doubly difficult if you don't realize that it's coming. Oh, I didn't switch back their elements at the end of the last battle. So I just got a ton of red magic experience. That's fine. Your magic growth is partially determined by the amount of that color crystal that you have imbued on your party's character. Other characters also just have innate magical stat growth. Fina basically has the best magical stat growth of every magic spell ever. She's just like the best mage. Good for her. Oh, look at Drachma just knock that dude on his face. Counterattack. Not bad. But like Aika has really good purple magic growth and a couple other things. So everybody finds their niche eventually. Although some magics are better than the other. Oh, I can't believe they... Oh, it missed! Oh, bite our butts. I'm gonna try... Wait, no, I'm gonna see if we can destroy these guys in this turn and not let that guy get increm at all. I think we might. As long as the attacks hit, we stop the boss from getting buffed. Because Drachma's increm is gonna like fuck this guy up. And thankfully too, this should only hit Drachma. One downside about the battle system here is that weapons have positional damages. Like that would have damaged people in a line or like a cone almost. And the shit thing there is that you don't, like, position-wise, I don't control where Vise or Drachma or any of the other characters stand. It's essentially random. So sometimes your characters can just move into positions where they get completely freaking owned. And that's not good. You know? You don't want that. This is probably going to hit Vise as well. Oh, it didn't. See, that's one that hits in a cone. So Vise was probably just out of range. Counterattack. Did we just not? Oh, because we used Increm. I was like, did we just not generate magic during that turn? Like, why aren't we ready to use Tackle? Because Drachma having Increm and using Tackle is just going to be unfair.
Let's try this.
If you don't have good planning or luck with your Moonstones, though, Drachma might not even have that skill at this time. It's entirely possible that we win the fight in like the next turn or so. It really depends on how much damage Drachma's about to do. But I think we win in this turn. Especially because Aika's doing a little bit more boosted damage than she normally would be doing. So this could be it right here. Drachma will survive this because it's just a tackle that's going to hit him. And he's going to tackle back. And it should be the end of it. I gotta clean off my tattoos. Yeah, that's it. Nailed it. That's great. That freaking rules. Drachma's so big. Crystallis. Good job. Good job, Aika. Look at the part where the 3D people start, and they also end. You would not be able to notice that on an old CRT, like, or you would notice, but you wouldn't care. Nowadays, it's like I get to see this in much higher resolution than I ever saw as a kid. And you're just like, oh, interesting. Is there dialogue here if I want to go back to this ladder? I wonder. Interesting. I've never seen that dialogue in my life because I've never bothered to look at the elevator, or the ladder. Oh God, I wish my tattoos were just instantly healed. You know what? I'm replacing this save file. And it'll be nice to just have a save file right before the Catacombs fight if I need it. For anything else. Yeah, there's just this chamber with this weird thing that feels like a shrine talking about the Reigns of Destruction or something. And that's cool. I was like, who are you? Boris. And there's Luke. I'm gonna write more stuff for Luke in that chapter. And the chapter that I'm writing for my stupid fiction. Him and Mabel are gonna have more stuff to do in the story. Hey, look at that, Landis. Oh, it's weird that he just has like this bespoke animation for that. Oh, that's fun. He's like all fired up. That's cool. Thanks, buddy. There's Briggs. Oh, look at those! Look at those models. Look at the textures. Stupidly good. Yeah, we'll get through Valua, and that'll be that. How's everyone doing? You doing good? I might eat some Cheez-Its later tonight. Oh, I didn't even realize I was on a swashbuckling choice. Thank God it was the correct one. Doing great. That's cool. Maybe I'll even play a little bit of Yakuza tonight for my own fun. Thinking about my good friend Ichiban. Love that guy. I'm surprised. Like, I like Kiryu a lot. I really like Ichiban. He brings... He's an idiot. But he has a lot of good energy. Yeah, there's nothing here. It's just this weird thing. With these weird things on the bottom, which I've never noticed before. I wonder. The mind shudders to think of all the implications. Yeah, Ichi's great. When they first announced him, you also didn't know anything about him. You just saw some punk and you're like, who is he? Why is he replacing Kiryu? And now he's great. Yeah, gosh, this music is... Wish it was a little better.
Let's try this.
It's still good. A good battle theme, but oh god, on the Dreamcast it just sounds better. I'm gonna be complaining about it every time that I stream this. I'm gonna be going, oh, the music isn't as good, and you're gonna be like, shut up, hipster, and I'll be like, but it's true! What if I fought Galcian on the train? I would die, but what if I did it? That'd be entertaining. These enemies are sad. Thinking about them makes me sad. Oh, they move really slow. Jeez. This is great. I have a copy of Blue Rogue, Let's Make History, and Eternal Skies all next to each other. That is the 10th, 15th, and 20th anniversary fanzine. Ain't that swell? That's really nice. It's nice. The fans of this game are really creative. More creative than I am. I can't draw or anything. I'm jealous. Oh, they both got poisoned? That sucks.
Here goes. We won!
We won! You can tell I'm running out of a little bit of steam. Been streaming for about 2.5 hours. I really just wanted to test some equipment. Wait, we are going the right way. I was like, what is happening? Hell yeah, Vi's the competent. Wait, what? No, this is correct. It is kind of crappy that they make you run through a little bit more of the sewers. Not bad, but just a little off. Oh, because Drachma's not in the party? I can't use Alpha Storm first turn. That blows. That's gross. Disgusting. Oh, if this hits, that would be amazing. They can cast Attorney? What? That's fucked up. That's an instant death spell if it hits. What? I don't remember that at all. That's messed up. It's bad enough that through all of South Ocean there are birds that can do it. Wow. That's screwed up.
That was fun.
Super, super screwy. This is like a low-level dungeon and they have people with a spell that can do insta-death, maybe? I don't know about that. If I was designing combat encounters here, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I think that's part of it. They can also cast magic, question mark, which does nothing. So the percentile chance of getting hit by Attorney is low, but that's still surprising to me that they allow it to be used here. At least after Temple of Pyron, that's early enough in the game where I go, okay, I probably have enough healing items to help anybody, you know, after the battle. Oh, that slime just like punched her in the face. Some people are into that.
That was easy.
Yeah, look at that. They're level 11. Why do I feel like I'm making so much progress in this run of the game? I have such amazing Moonberry distribution. My levels are really strong. It seems pretty great. I like this scene with Marco. I've streamed through this scene like 2 times or something already. Yeah, this sounds a little tinny too. It's a bummer. Doesn't sound as bad as the other, but you can hear it a little bit. It sounds like it's on a bad piano. You can hear it on that final note a lot. Listen. Almost sounds flat. Yeah, that's weird. It doesn't have the same amount of depth. It feels kind of light and stretched out. Like there's a certain lack of substance that exists there. Oh gosh, I'd better be able to publish another chapter of this stupid thing by the end, like the start of next week. Not the end of next week. The start. Fallen so far behind. To be fair, I wanted to write last week. This is probably the most famous line in the game, by the way. Impossible is just a word to let people feel good about themselves when they quit. I was gonna do a lot more last week, and all the stupid, the world decided to fucking just, you know what I mean? Oh, that sounded terrible. Oh, the music there sounded awful. Genuinely, that wasn't like a forced reaction. That was me having a genuine reaction of just being terrible. Enrique, the fucking wimp here, by the way, is going to get a little bit of a tongue lashing from Fina when I write them in this chapter. Enrique, like, I don't think we should be evil, and just not really putting his heart into it. Oh, look at that. Look at her character model. You fucking kidding me? It's so good. Look at this line is one of the funniest lines in the game, by the way. I like Enrique a lot. I think he's a great character. This line is... I would not have used this language. Mother, ruling the world by force is not something I am sure I approve of. Friggin' weak sauce right there, Enrique. The weakest shit. Come on, dude. He's got to fucking step it up. Oh, see? Oh, it kills me. I wish I had that reference material for when I got my fucking tattoo. Oh my god. I still love my tattoos. I really do. But god damn it. I have her shoulder one now, though. It's on my arm. Part of me either wants to get the silver moon rune on my back, or you know how her sleeves have that circuitry design? I might want to get that down my other arm. So I basically have sleeves, but not sleeves. I have 3 runes on my arm, or glyphs, really. Slight difference. Yeah, it kills me. I wish I had that reference material. We took it directly from the game, which is why it came out a little off. Because the game's models, depending on how it's viewed, is like kind of inconsistent. It's supposed to be 1 stroke, and mine is definitely not 1 stroke. It's like it goes up to the circle, and then another part of it a little higher up moves in. It's kind of a bummer. I asked my artist last week if we could fix it, and she was like, if I touch that up too much, we might actually fuck it up more. So I just have this slightly imperfect thing. It still means a lot to me, but it's a little off. Just a little bit. And I bitch about it every second I can because I wanted it to be perfect and it's not. But that's the risk of getting a tattoo. This is weird. This is me tooting my own horn. I think it's much better to write the story of having Fina and Ramirez meet each other before this point, because there's a lot of mystery for a while of like, oh, Ramirez, huh? And first off, it's very weird that she hears the name Ramirez and she's like, oh, that's my friend, you know, Ramirez. That distinctly Sylvite name. I think it makes way more sense to have that character in the story earlier, and I wish that this game... One of the things that Legends does really well is that it goes into Ramirez's backstory and it really explains him as a character, which is great. But one of the things that the story wasn't doing well at first, which kind of feels like Legends is patching up a hole a little bit, is incorporating Ramirez into the story earlier. Or like rounding him out even further. Which I feel like a slightly more well-considered script would have done a little bit more of, considering he's literally the final boss. Right? This little punk-ass kid, by the way. Why don't they just eat cake? Fuck you. This is the lady who talks about her toilet. Her bathtub. No, she talks about both. This is the guy that you can lie to and be like, we're from Alfonso's family. I come from a poor but noble family. I wish that you got to explore a little bit more of the upper city, but it would absolutely kill the game's pace right now if you were just dicking around so I get it. This train section is fun. Also, this is weird because there are these characters down here that you never get to see. I'm curious what their models look like. I would love to be able to see those a little bit more up close. I'll have to ask about them. This train segment is partially one of the segments that was in the demo disc. The demo disc has a couple things on it. Which is the main demo, which has a bunch of different scenarios and cutscenes that play, and you get to play through some of the segments. This is one of them when you're on the train. There's also just a option that's like fight a ship battle, and you can just fight a ship battle. Yeah, the timeline on this is weird too. I think I would have had more time for Fina earlier and not have the... I guess the idea is that she's immediately going on the train after the throne room scene, but it feels really sudden. Which is fine. The momentum of this, the Valua section is pretty well maintained, but also sometimes when you think about things for 2 seconds, you're like, that's a little contrived. Which I guess is fine in a game like this. Mostly. But I think about it sometimes of like, what would this, you know, partially because I'm writing, but also like, what does this plot look like now when the expectations for certain game plots are a little higher? I feel like we would have had more time with Fina. Certainly. Right? Like, I think in a fancy remade version, like a remake version of this game, you're jumping character perspectives a lot, right? It's also like, I don't know if it's... Oh, no. Oh, it is. In the game, it is explained because they say, hey, there's a scene very quickly of them being like, Lord Galcian. I think it's this scene right here. Where they're like, Lord Galcian, there are people on a train. And he goes, I'm going to go get them. And you're like, oh, no. Right? It's literally just this scene to explain how Galcian gets there. Because otherwise, he would just randomly show up and it'd be very weird. Bum, bum, bum. I feel like I'm getting... I mean, I know I'm not, but I feel like I'm getting vaguely the same amount of encounters here as I would be getting on Dreamcast. The answer is I would be getting more on Dreamcast, but that's one of the things in this version of the game. They're like, we decreased the random encounter amount because everybody bitched about the amount of random encounters when, I don't know, it was mostly fine. Oh, this was long before the concept of an encounter slider.
That was easy.
One thing I do appreciate about this game is that the battle scenes, I've mentioned this before whenever I talk about this game on a stream or whatever, is that the battle scenes have a vaguely like similar and contiguous space with the field that you're on, by which I mean like the 3D spaces are really nice abstractions of the space that you're on. Yeah, dude, Galcian gets there so fast. You just kind of accept it. But right, like, the battle scenes are like pretty nice. They're nice 3D realizations of the space that you're already in. I think if they could have... Oh, dude, it's so funny to like look at Galcian just walk. I think if they could have, they would have made it so you just go straight into a battle on the map that you're on, but I don't think they were able to do that at the time. Like, I feel like if they could have, they wouldn't even have an abstract battle space. They would just have battles occur on the field. God, imagine if they pulled that off back then. That'd be amazingly cool. I got some keychains today when I got my magazine. One of them is Vi's with a rainbow flag. Good for him. Good for Vi's. Good for all of us who are gay. Good for us. For doing that. For liking who we like. For seeing another lady and going, I'm into that. Or another fella. Or both. Or whatever. Good times. I feel like Gaussian keeps a consistent distance from you almost. That's probably not true, but it feels it. Maybe because you're both, like, maybe because we're just both moving. Both hoofing it pretty quickly. Hard to say. Are they? Oh, they're just chilling in defensive stances. Cut it out. I remember the Let's Play on my channel was actually me playing through this on a Dreamcast emulator. Because I didn't have a good way to capture footage off the Dreamcast back in the day. I didn't have my FrameMeister or anything. I'm just curious about these weapons. I might even equip one for shits and gigs. So there's the someone explain this to me. There's the Vorlich blade, which is named after the translator, and then the Skyfang. But the Skyfang is like better. I don't remember. Is the Skyfang a Legends thing? I don't remember the Skyfang at all. Straight up don't remember it. If there's anybody in chat who knows the detail there. I feel like that animation of Gaussian walking is low res too. I feel like they're doing some trickery there. It's not like a model that's actually doing a lot of stuff. I feel like there's a catch to it. Something about the movement there looks a little different. Oh god, I love these three characters. I love that they show up and help their fucking friend. You can tell I'm getting tired because my voice is getting deeper. It's great. They're such good people. That's good stuff. That's just good stuff. The annoying thing about these enemies is that they can heal each other. Also, Electros hits in a cone, so we're both going to take damage. And if we die here, it would be the most embarrassing fucking thing on the planet. Or maybe Electros is the line. I keep on saying cone sometimes when I mean line, because I'm an idiot. Look at that! Look at that! They do it! They did the thing! Fucking... They treat this like a boss fight, and it doesn't feel like a boss fight to me, even though they are difficult. Does that make sense? We're just gonna try and brute force through them. Oh, he's gonna get hit by a counterattack. We'll heal the next turn. Hopefully we're not fucked. Whatever. This can be a tricky fight. But Not entirely. We're just gonna heal up. Just gonna spend an actual turn healing. Is it silly that you recognize the train song from Sonic Transformed? Nah, that stage is really cool. Remember when Sega remembered their stuff? Jesus Christ, dude! Aika, why are you getting hit so... Oh, come on, people. More Electros. We're gonna Cutlass Fury one of these guys into the fucking dirt. Fuck you. Cutlass Fury's gonna destroy him. Skyfang is a Legends weapon. I guess that's why I don't really know it. Do you have to beat Air Pirate Vigoro? Because I don't know what the point would be of having the Skyfang after that. You're like, I beat the hardest boss in the game. Now I have this weapon that I don't need to really use on anything difficult. Oh, Fina's so good. It hurts me how good some of these characters are. Just tugs at my heartstrings. You know? I love these people.
We did it!
Some of the lessons they have taught me are as formative and lasting as important as anything my father has taught me. Which is interesting. And I don't know what to make of that. I don't know if my having lessons that I learned from this game that have stayed with me means... This is gonna sound so fucking weird. I have very romantic and highly specific notions of what art is. And every time I try to talk about it, sometimes people get freaked out because it's like, I personify things a lot. But it's like, I do that because I think that stories have a very strong power. And I believe that partially because there's a part of me that vaguely believes in the existence of a soul. And therefore, when art or something speaks to us and when it leaves an imprint on us, in some ways I'm in direct, meaningful conversation with the creators. By which I mean, I think there's some sort of actual transmutation that occurs. Like a non-insignificant thing that isn't just like an emotional chemical reaction that whatever. Like, I hate the idea that people think that the emotions that we have are just these chemical things. If that's the truth of it, that's incredibly sad. And so when I see a game like this and I think about the effect that it's had on me, I like to think it means that I've had direct contact in some ways with the people who've made it. In the same way that like I would have had a conversation with them. There's an exchange, right? There's some sort of melding of two peoples that leaves each of the other person affected, or at least in some ways me affected. I don't know if it runs both ways. But also at the same time, there's this part of me that goes like, what does it mean if some of the people who have taught me the most important things are fictional? And at a certain point, it implies to me that there's a degree to which that, like, and I don't mean this literally, I mean this as an evocative way for me to explain the point I'm trying to get across. Please don't think I'm fucking crazy. I vaguely personified characters in an animation talk at GDC, and people lost their fucking brains because I can't say anything on the internet with a bunch of fucking gamer goons losing their brains. This is as mad as you're gonna hear me. God, I poured my heart and my fucking soul into that GDC talk, and they downvoted it. They made videos about my talk, my micro talk, my like 7-minute talk at GDC. Fuck those assholes. Fuck them so hard. So vicious. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that if a fictional character can impart a lesson upon me, which then goes on to shape my fundamental behavior, alter my personality, alter some sort of aspect of my soul, I have to feel that I've had some sort of actual conversation with the character as well. And I don't know what to do with that information. Because it seems indicative to me. It seems genuinely self-indicative to me that if Vise can teach me a lesson as lasting and as important as some of the lessons my father taught me, it means that the writers are talking to me, it means the game's creators are talking to me, but to some extent it means that Vise is talking to me, and I don't know how to parse that, and I've tried. If there's one thing I have fucking battled with and tried to figure out over my years of criticizing art and like analyzing art, it's that, and I don't have the answer, and it fucking annoys me. Like, dude, what does it mean for this dude to be my captain? What does that mean? I have no clue. What does it mean for him to have taught me something? I don't have the answer. And I've tried. I've tried so hard. I've tried so hard to figure out what truth that points to. Because it points to some sort of truth. Because I'm sorry, I think that truth is an actual thing that exists. I think that there are real things. That is what I believe. I think some philosophy major can come in and try and get phenomenological on me, to which I can say, fuck off, dude. Allow me to believe in things. So for me, I think that there are certain things that are true. I think love is true. I don't think it's a chemical reaction. I think that there's something inherent and true to the feeling and emotions that we have when we feel love. Because I choose to believe that the relationships I have with certain people are valuable and lasting. So I think about that, right? I think existence is true. To some definition of true. By which I mean, even if it's a dream, it's true. It's a thing, like existence exists, right? It's self-evident, but stating that matters. And so the idea that existence is real, and yet art is affecting me in a way that is equally real or powerful, I've tried so hard. I've tried so hard to parse out what that means for art, what it means for creating things, what it means to experience art, and I've come up empty-handed every single time. Because ultimately I think that the words that we use are insufficient for capturing the truth of anything. Right? The truth is always bigger than the words that we use for it. But I've struggled with this, and Skies of... It's so fucking stupid. It's so stupid that the thing that has made me feel this, and the thing that has thrown me into this philosophical quandary about the nature of art, about the nature of fiction, about the nature of creation, is a stupid pirate game. I feel guilty about it. And yet at the same time, if I was talking to myself right now and I said, Heather, I feel guilty about this thing, I would say, don't feel guilty about it, other person, but because it's me. But because it's me, I still feel the guilt, even though I know I shouldn't. There's nothing to be ashamed of. But I think about it constantly, right? Like, the thing that, dude, for some people, the thing that affected them the most is like the Bible. The fucking Bible. The word of the Lord. If you believe in that thing. And for me, the thing that's affected me most is a fucking video game. I feel weird about that. And I shouldn't. But I do. And that's a society pressure or something? I don't know. So every time I engage with Skies of Arcadia, especially now that I've had years to fucking be weird about art, I always come back to these questions. And I don't have good answers for them at all. Galcian just chilling on that train the entire time. You'd think that he would move. No, I don't know, I just think about shit all the time. Like, this is the shit that I think about when I play games. I don't think about like, oh, well, the graphics were okay. I guess I do think that, but not very often. Right? When I play Skies of Arcadia, I don't just think, wow, this thing is lovely. I do think that. But every time I play this game, I find myself challenged. Which is so silly because it's not a challenging piece of art, and yet somehow I find the challenge. Which isn't a compliment to myself. If anything, it's a damning fact about my existence. Right? There's a part of me that can't turn off because I'm a fucking freak. It's like bananas. Like, dude, like, I don't know. I think about it all the time when I play this game. And dude, I suck at so many things. And I want to live up to the examples of these stupid fictional heroes. And I haven't. I want to be like Fina. I'm not. She is everything that I am not. Which is weird. It's weird to think about characters in those terms, but I do. Intensely curious. Now I'm also going, I wish my tattoo was better. God, what a good character, what good characters! Fuck! How can I not be affected playing this thing? This gorgeous little thing. The fact that I can feel this way points to something important. Something sensible or worthwhile, right? Like, that's why I don't believe in weird cosmic nihilism or Sisyphus must be happy existentialism. There's nothing, like, so existentialist, like, very often they say, you know, the absurdity of the universe or whatever. There's nothing absurd about this. Nothing feels more right than this. Oh, this version of Vize's theme kind of sucks too. Jesus. You only hear this song like a handful of times in the game. Oh yeah, this version of it's terrible. Oh, it sounds awful. God damn it. The music in this version of the game really is bad. Yeah, god damn it. What a bummer. Fucking GameCube mini discs. Imagine, oh my god, imagine if the thing that they had just ported it to was the PlayStation. We would have the definitive version. If they just had the fucking disc space. Instead, because audio takes up so much space, they fucking skimped. Not, they didn't skimp, but you know, it's just like, god damn it. Oh, it's bananas. God, it would have been so much better if this had come out on the PlayStation. Sorry, Nintendo. It's vaguely your fault. It's vaguely your fault that this version of the game isn't better. Yeah, it's a compression issue. It's on 2 mini discs on the GameCube even, I believe. It's just like, oh my god. There's a version first. There's just like a version of this, like a better version of this game that exists. I need to collect some chams. I also need to go back to Shrine Island to get the other cham. You know what's nice about this version? I can actually get all of the chams, which you cannot easily do on the Dreamcast because one of them is found on a DLC island. Which there are ways to get that DLC on your Dreamcast, but it's messy. One of the easiest ways to do that is to actually just burn a disc with different save files on it. Or like a CD image with different save files on it, and then download those to your VMU. Because there are discs like that exist, where it's just a giant repository of like save files and a couple other things, and you just download them. It's just a bunch of data on a disc, and then you can put it on your VMU. But you gotta have a CD burner, which I don't even know if I have one of those anymore. Remember burning CDs and other shit? You know, just to have it, we're gonna give her a super move. Oh, I thought we had one more Moonberry. I was like, we would do that. Oh, the indicator on the screen is awesome. I forgot that this version had that. That's fucking awesome. That's so good. On the Dreamcast, it's still pretty cool because it ends up being on your VMU. So you can watch Keeple on your screen. For those of you who don't know, by the way, if you're in my chat, you probably know. But a VMU is the visual memory unit. It's the memory card for the Dreamcast, and it has a screen on it. It's like a little Tamagotchi device, which you could play games on. And I say Tamagotchi device because one of the biggest games for it was Chow Garden for Sonic Adventure, which was where you could raise your little monsters. All right, we're done for the night, though. I'll have to deal with leveling up Fina later. I'm gonna go to bed eventually and chill. I definitely didn't... Yeah, I thought maybe I would get writing done tonight, but I probably won't. All right. Let's go over here. And we will sign off for the night. Thank you for listening to me ramble. It's been the weirdest rambling stream I've ever had. Maybe. It definitely feels like it. Maybe it wasn't. Have a good night. It is getting cold here. I need a jacket or something. And we'll probably get back to this. It's just going to take a while. I don't want to play... I do not want to stream through Ixotaka and, like, Maramba and all that shit again. I just don't. So I won't stream this again until I get back to Decat's Island. It's just too much. But I'll see you all around. Goodbye.